Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has reassured investors in the energy sector of his government's resolve to further enhance the business environment and boost confidence amongst them. The president said this while inaugurating 3 milestone projects in Lagos and Imo states. The expanded AHL gas processing plant, the ANOH gas processing plant, and the 23.3 kilometers ANOH to Obiafo, Obricom, Oben, OB3 custody transfer metering station gas pipeline. During the virtual inauguration of the projects at the State House, President Tinubu also assured Nigerians that his administration is stepping up its coordination of other landmark projects and initiatives that will ensure the earliest realization of gas-fueled prosperity in the country. The projects are in line with the Decade of Gas initiative and his government's vision to grow value from Nigeria's abundant gas assets.
To reiterate the federal government's resolve to continue to provide support to deepen domestic gas utilization, increase national power generation capacity, revitalize industries, create new and exciting job opportunities.
2 things have happened in our country today. There is an ample fiscal environment today. The laws are good. It encourages gas development. Taxation is lower. Businesses can make more money from gas in this country. And that's why we are seeing renewed interest in taking investments in the floating LNGs. That's already what is already happening. We are already progressing massively on one other LNG project. I'm not mentioning them because of the non-disclosure agreement with our partners. And there are a number of other floating LNG projects that are now ongoing. And this is really history in the making.
Joining us now is Michael Oluwagbemi, who is the project director of the Presidential Committee on Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. Good to see you again, though remotely this time. We had you before on Newsnight. Now let's talk about how much of a game changer, this critical plans that were inaugurated by President Tinubu today. How much of a game changer really is it?
It's a big deal, and good evening to your viewers, and thanks for having me. Yes, it's a big deal. It's a big deal that Nigeria is beginning to realize its full potential when it comes to gas. This country is blessed with gas resources. What we need is the necessary infrastructure and facilities to process them, to distribute them, to evacuate them, to make them useful to industrialize Nigeria. And the projects today is tied to the upstream connectivity, that is an implementation of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan, of course with the NNPCL in the forefront and its partners and investors from across the world and indigenous companies as well. And that is good for Nigeria, that is good for the gas sector. More gas means gas availability for mobility like the CNG project, more gas availability for power, most gas availability for agriculture, since gas is central to fertilizer and ammonia manufacturing, and more gas availability for manufacturing when it comes to both powering the industries, but also even used as input in terms of industrial inputs as feedstock. So that is good for Nigeria.
One of the key concerns will be transporting gas, and well, the exciting thing is that you are the expert, and I see that the last one there is the OB3 custody transfer metering gas pipeline. Help us make sense of what is to come in terms of moving gas in Nigeria from one point to another.
Yes, so very good question. The key difference between gas and liquid petroleum, as the case may be, is that gas is somewhat difficult to move around. And in the absence of a solid pipeline system, you will have to sort of retrofit or try to use methods that can end up being a little more expensive and less reliable. But the implementation of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan, if you've seen the transmission backbone of this grid, is a grid of gas pipelines, allows gas to be moved from the areas where they are produced mostly in the south-south, the Niger Delta, and the southwest and the southeast, and they moved them across the country, where there's industries, where the people live, where they are utilized either for agriculture production or for industrial production or for power production. And of course, everywhere in the country where it is now going to be required because of the presidential CNG initiative for transportation. It allows it to be moved safer. It allows it to be moved faster. It allows the gas, once the gas network comes alive, because of this backbone network that is now being developed after so many years on the table, this pipeline system enables business to be done better in Nigeria. Reality is that the OBOB, the TNJP, the Arnold project, the AKK pipeline that is already being constructed, the several last mile pipeline systems that NGML is doing, and even some of the other major transmission gas pipeline that is on the table, including the extension of the looping of the ELPS and the extension of that into the EIJ, the ELPS, Ibadan, Ilorin, Jeba pipeline system. All of that put together, once they're completed, will move Nigeria in fact, very quickly into the 21st century and to become a leading industrial nation.
Sounds very exciting. And also exciting is the fact that President Tinubu, at that inauguration, promised to provide an enabling environment for investors. In specific terms, what are the steps or the strategies put in place to make sure that foreign investors actually feel comfortable to come to Nigeria and stay?
Yeah, it's not just about foreign investors. We also want domestic investors. We want all investors. We want money because capital is fungible and it's fluid and it goes to where it is best treated. We want all capital to come to Nigeria and stay. We want those capital to also be able to realize economic profit and then to be able to use that to deepen our financial system. So the president, since his inauguration through the Office of the Special Advisor Energy, who also happens to sit on this steering committee of the PCNGI, has introduced a series of fiscal stimulus working with the Federal Ministry of Finance and also the key regulators in the sector, including the NUPRC, which is the upstream regulator, as well as the downstream regulator in terms of NMPDRA when it comes to gas incentives for the last mile, and as well as the midstream sector. What the president has done is that he has introduced a series of fiscal measures, reformed the existing fiscal structure to ensure that the sector is attractive for investment, that the regulation for the sector is predictable, and that investors can have the confidence to come invest in the sector. Ultimately, he's also encouraging demand. He's also doing a lot of demand signaling. The policy of the president has encouraged demand to grow for gas utilization domestically. This includes, of course, the CNG policy. We saw the policy 2 days ago, where Mr. President essentially placed a complete ban on the acquisition of petrol vehicles by federal agencies and MDAs and said, look, we all have to now start using CNG-enabled vehicles. That is good for utilization. That signals strongly to investors that the federal government is serious about gas utilization for the transport sector. And the same thing is true about what is going on even in the power sector, industrial sector, in the agriculture sector, what the policies the president has been putting in place. But all of these, of course, depend on the fiscal structure that is now reformed, made to be nimble, which of course were released vis-a-vis a series of guidelines that the Office of the Special Advisor Energy, working with the Minister of Finance, put out there in the last 3 weeks. I think that is good for Nigeria and that is good for investment.
And Michael, before we let you go, because I recall our last conversation, you made it so simple by also letting people know that there's nothing to fear about CNG. Now that the president is asking, the government agencies to key in, how far is the PCNGI on bringing every Nigerian to key into this CNG project?
Yes, we are fast on the track. This morning, we started our first. We had our first rollout program all the way to May 29 here in Lagos, where we had a critical stakeholder engagement session with members of the ecosystem, both transport sector, energy sector, financial sector, even the automobile sector were present. And it was attended by the Minister of Labour because, of course, Labour is very critical to the implementation of this, be it the members of the NURTW, RTN, and NATO. And all of these, in fact, you also had in the room members of the mechanic organizations of Nigeria, MOMAN and NATA, NATA, with respect to technicians, because the manpower to do conversions is also critical, and even building OEM vehicles of natural gas. So as far as engagement was concerned, that was how we kicked off today in Lagos. We'll be going next. Tomorrow we'll be in Port Harcourt, and on Saturday we'll be in Uyo. Next week we're going to be in Ilorin, and we're going to continue all the way to May 29, where we're going to open the first refueling station affiliated with the program and co-located with a conversion center in Ilorin. It will be flagged up by the chairman of the Governors Forum, also indicating the strong national connection when it comes to implementing the program. We're ready. I'm very enthused. I'm very grateful for the support Mr. President and our chairman, Dr. Zak Adediji, and the 6 wise men and women on our steering committee has given our team. And I'm looking forward to a future where Nigeria's roads and Nigerian transport sector is gasified.
And I think you're the 7th wise amongst them, because you can't say 6 and take yourself out of it.
Thank you so much. Michael Oluwagbemi is the Project Director of Presidential Committee on Compressed Natural Gas. A delight having you on Newsnight.